looking back, it becomes less and less comfortable for me to think about. And I feel for all the young people who have a lot of their firsts on camera. Again, not just in film and TV, but now like on social media. The way that we talk about sometimes our, child's first menstrual cycle, or we talk about some of their medical conditions. That's not even the child playing a character. That's now the child
Real.
actually, yeah.
Hello, hello, Hill Squad. We are back with Alyson Stoner. If you missed part one, please go check it out. Alyson opened up about the emotional and physical cost of growing up in the spotlight and what they're doing to reshape the conversation around healing for the next generation. Today, we're going to learn more about their story and why consent in Hollywood is still a gray area for children. Plus, they open up about reclaiming financial independence after years of free labor, the mindset shift it took to finally pay themselves, and the wellness tools Alyson is now using to help create a system that will help others from burning out. So, welcome back, Alyson. Alyson, you had your first kiss on set, right?
I did, yes.
That was the Zach and Cody show.
Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, yes.
What was that like? I know you detail it in the book, but that's got to be hard too, right? I can't
I
do it now as an adult. It's hard. I mean, to have your first kiss and as a kid, how old were you?
I can't remember my exact age at the moment, but probably between 9 and 11. And I do remember being a very prudish kid, as I was often labeled. I didn't plan on having any kind of physical, intimate contact with anyone until I was an adult. And I, at the time, remember knowing that it was written into the script and that I wasn't about to ruffle any feathers or be difficult to work with because I wasn't a series regular. So my job, they could replace me, so easily. And so I remember trying to coach myself through that moment, like, it's okay. This is just a part of the job. It doesn't even have to be real. And in the original script, if I remember correctly, they actually had me kissing both of the twins, Zach and Cody, at different times. But in one episode, there would have been two kisses. And eventually, I think maybe standards and practices flagged that and was like, this might be gratuitous for this series. But I was thinking, like, oh, I feel uncomfortably used. I didn't have that language for it, but I was like, oh, why does my mouth have to be on multiple people's lips? What does that mean about me? Why do you like this? Is this actually the funny joke we're going for? And how do I just hide all of these inner feelings and pretend like, I'm a professional and this is no big deal? And, some people made
Mm.
jokes around like, don't worry about it. Like they were trying to be helpful, like, just have a little breath mint before and it'll be over before you know it. And I just was like, oh, looking back, it becomes less and less comfortable for me to think about. And I feel for all the young people who have a lot of their firsts on camera. Again, not just in film and TV, but now like on social media. The way that we talk about sometimes our, child's first menstrual cycle, or we talk about some of their medical conditions. And it's sometimes, with the intention of being like, hey, let's build a community of other parents and families going through this online. But like, oh my gosh, that's not even the child playing a character. That's now the child
Real.
actually, yeah. And they can't give informed consent. And later, if they ask you to take it down, right now, there's only, a few states that have protections that allow children to request for content to be removed upon turning 18. So, yeah, it's such a vulnerable age. And you also just think like puberty wise, oh, so I had my first kiss, but then I also was going through puberty while I was on this series, and every week I could feel my body changing. And I just remember having this high definition camera on my body, seeing the changes, and you could see the crew noticing, and no one wants to talk about it, but it's happening because now I have to wear different kinds of clothes to cover or accentuate. And it's like, oh my gosh, you actually are being put on display in your most awkward of phases.
Wow. And just for the benefit of the audience, it's not just your first kiss because you have to do it multiple times.
Right. Yes.
Lots of takes.
Yes. It was my first through 10th kiss.
Yeah. So, and then when you talk about the other parts of being a child actor, I mean, there's your earnings.
Hmm.
I want to talk about the strain on child actors, especially when they end up becoming the breadwinners, which is, I think, that dynamic I was saying in the first part of the show, where the parents kind of get taken, whether they're human, whether you like it or not, they see all this money coming and they instantly will rationalize and say, well, it's for the kids' future. They're going to have money for college. There's so many good rationalizations. And you definitely wrote in the book that even as a child, you wondered where the other 85% of your earnings were going, beyond that protected Coogan account. I think we talked about this, as I'm remembering, even in our first episode together. And over time, you realize your body and your finances were really controlled by others,
Hmm.
sometimes even used against you. So, what did it take for you to reclaim ownership over your work, your money, and your autonomy after so much kind of early exploitation, especially now, even looking back and being like, did I even really want to do this? It's such a mind F.
If I am being completely honest, and this is very candid, very vulnerable, I think I'm still learning lessons around financial independence. And I say that because I was so conditioned for so long to just offer myself for free labor or quote unquote exposure. You know, the industry thinks that attention is an equivalent currency to money. However, attention does not pay your utility bills unless you have some kind of strategy and structure around it. And I, even as I was growing up, I tried to take certain financial literacy classes. I wanted to learn the basics of budgeting and saving and even investing, but I was constantly told that the industry was way too complicated to understand due to its unique business structures, child labor laws, expense tracking, etc. And so I
Hmm.
inherited this belief that I would never be smart enough to know how to do this myself. I would always need, conveniently, all of these other adults who were commissioning every check, who were, you know, feeding their families off the money that I brought in. And so I later on, discovered quite a few examples of where my money had been mismanaged. But even then, I was still clocking in on how many projects that I wasn't getting paid for or that I was still working for at below, minimum rates. And I think this is going to be actually one of the biggest lessons of my present chapter. I'm, in my early 30s. Yes, I've been working for 20 plus years, but I am still actually learning as a founder of a company. This is super transparent, but I made what I would now consider a mistake of not paying myself as the founder. I just wanted all the money to go into building the products that served people, right? Like good intentions at the surface, but for sustainability, come on, Al, you got to be able to keep your own lights on. And
Yeah.
so it can be really easy for me to overlook myself. And I'm really trying to understand my value from a monetary perspective, as I move forward as like a mental health coordinator. And
Hmm.
it's helping the more I design these other tools, like the artist well-being toolkit for performers, and the longer I'm running Movement Genius, I'm seeing, oh, okay, I actually do have expertise, not just lived experience and a story for a magazine. I've taken time to build these skills. That's worth something. And that's helping me say, okay, yeah, you really can't afford to be working for free forevermore.
I
Um,
know, but I
but
get
it's
it
tough,
because I have done the same thing. By the way, I pay to be in things sometimes. Like
right?
there is the mentality in our business of, you know, you gotta pay your dues and then eventually it will come. And it is about the exposure, it's about the marketing, and some of it does. Yes, it is true, but at the same time, you have to be set up to be able to have that availability to do that.
Hmm.
So I'm in a place where I have the availability to say, yes, I can make SAG extra low budget and I'll pay for the Airbnb that I want rather than what
Hmm.
you're going to give me because I need something a little nicer. Like I'm set up to do that so I can make those adjustments, but I get mentally where we're always wanting to say yes to the opportunity, yes to that next step, and then forgetting that there is a boundary and there is a value that we're bringing because
Right.
it's a psychological thing that we are trained in our business in some way. Somehow it kind of comes to us like that.
Well,
Um,
and I think this crosses over into a lot of other industries and spaces as well. We're used to, as the working folks, we're used to being extracted for our time and energy. And we're used to, at least I am, used to knowing that there is someone higher up somewhere who's making a lot of money, and that is not me. And so I am actually trying to rewire my understanding of how money flows and my positionality in this, not because I have any interest in accumulating an undue amount of wealth. I really personally don't. But I need to recognize that if I'm only ever budgeting out the projects that I'm producing and making sure everyone else gets paid a living wage and that, great, I'm not losing money, but I don't think about the 3 to 5 to 10 year business plan of how this can grow and how this can sustain itself one day, then I'm not actually assessing all of the variables. And I will find myself continually just making ends meet and just making sure I'm not losing money, but never actually creating more, security and stability long term. So like
yeah.
I know for some folks who are financially illiterate, they're like, yeah, come on, this is 101. But I have to admit, no matter how many financial literacy courses I've taken, no matter how many conversations I've had with different business managers and accountants, I'm still trying to understand the inner workings of how money
You're
flows.
deprogramming. You're
Yeah.
deprogramming. I mean, listen, it makes total sense because you actually never saw money coming in anyway. So you're used to it. If you
Hmm.
really think
I
about it,
really
you
am.
never felt your own worth, your
Right.
own income. You never got to go spend your money. I understand it because my husband grabbed me by the shoulders one day, probably like 12 years into my career. He goes, "You're miserable because you're not seeing your money be used or enjoying it. You're just working like an animal. Go buy whatever you want right now. Go shopping." And I was like, "Oh no, I can't," because again, I still thought I was the poor girl from Medford because I never saw any of my money.
100% relate to this, and I wouldn't even buy a new pair of socks. People kind of laughed and they called me a minimalist, and then I kind of adopted that as a lifestyle. But
Hmm.
in reality, I could fit all of my belongings in my Kia Sportage.
I
And
love
that
it.
wasn't just
Yeah,
because I, moved a lot and wanted the convenience of it. It was also because I was terrified of spending money. But of course,
I
if you
get it.
asked me to then like produce a project and I was like, oh, okay, I can employ a bunch of people. Yeah, of course, we'll pay them and da 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 da. Never paying myself. I'm
Hmm.
like, yeah, this is what you're saying, it resonates very deeply. And I think I need to have a talk with your husband, and he needs to say the same thing to me. Um,
Oh, he
but
will.
but what's I'm grateful for the shifts that are happening in that I've now created what I call a stopgap checklist. And before immediately saying yes, this is not just financial opportunities, but also just like being conditioned to only ever do favors for literally everyone else and to never ask for help. Um, I have this checklist, and it's like, first of all, how many hours is this job actually going to take? And is this going to interfere with your other longer term goals of, entering the mental health field, etc.? What is the payment rate? Is that when you break down the hours and the energy and all the things, is that actually enough to say yes to? Is this going to interfere? All of these different questions. And if it
It's
doesn't
great.
pass the test, it has to be a no. And that is tough, but I can feel myself like slowly reclaiming time, freedom, slowly reclaiming energy. And then with that extra space, I can actually apply it to the things that feel, not just feel, but are deeply values aligned. And ultimately, I believe, in service of the collective, far more than just staying on that hamster wheel of all these small little favors. And I'm
Yeah.
like, nah, you gotta figure out your priorities and really, really stick to them.
I love what you just said there because I do the same thing. When I need help with something, I'll create a checklist for myself to help me because it's now a process you're trying to ingrain in your brain. So, Heal Squad, if you're listening to this, this is really, really helpful. I wonder if you have a few minutes. I want to talk about some of these programs that you've created so that anybody who's listening who might be in a situation where their kid is either in the industry, wanting to be in the industry, or a friend of theirs. Tell me a little bit about the two companies that you have.
Yes. So for folks in the performing space, we created the Artist Wellbeing Essentials Toolkit. And it's not just for people pursuing the industry, it's also if you're in competitive dance spaces or you enjoy singing and you dabble with making YouTube videos, but you're not trying to be, the next Britney Spears. The toolkit has several modules. One of them is focused on just an overview of well being education, so learning about the mind body connection. And then other modules focus specifically on performance related activities and tools for your very unique experiences. For example, if you are getting into character, we want to make sure you also have a tool for getting out of character after you're done performing. Or if you're constantly auditioning and experiencing rejection, we have guided videos that talk about managing rejection and self comparison and navigating stage fright before a big show. So the very unique experiences related to performing. And then other
And by the
modules.
way, for everybody who's listening, you're a trained somatic therapist,
I'm a somatic
right?
practitioner. I'm a
Okay,
somatic practitioner. I also hold other certifications, and I can work as a mental health coordinator in performance spaces.
great.
And so, but the good news is, we also designed this toolkit with a range of psychotherapists, industry experts, performers. So you get a wide range of expertise and input. And then other modules focus specifically on mental and emotional health tools. So just that toolkit that we all needed but never got.
Hmm.
Stress relief techniques, understanding how to ground in a way that works for you. And so that toolkit is available. You can, just get that for yourself and your young one and have that ready to go at any time. And then Movement Genius is a broader mental health company that serves everyone. So, we're in universities, we're in hospitals, and also just anyone who is like interested in the idea of headspace or calm and how that, they can provide these guided meditations, but maybe are like, meditation isn't the only thing I need. I need a wider range. I need different options. Still that like short, on demand, guided video, Still things I can do at my desk after that horrible conversation with my boss. Still tools that you can use even if you're in the car. But yeah, just more tailored to your unique experience. So we also host for Movement Genius, we do classes with experts virtually. And I think that's one of the most beautiful experiences is having the community come together and realize it's called Heal Squad for a reason, not Heal Solo. We
Wait,
exist
do you
in
actually call
community.
it Heal Squad?
No, 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 no.
Oh,
I'm saying, but to pull from
but
your
it's
term,
true. Yeah.
we have to embrace our social nature in the healing journey. And it's just it's we got to be able to hold each other through this. Yeah, we're going through so much in
So
every
true.
regard. So I feel so alive when I talk about the toolkit and when I talk about Movement Genius because I'm like, oh yeah, this is where I'm meant to be. And now that I can be a coordinator on sets, it really is like full circle.
I know. I can feel that for you. And I think that's so cool. Friends, if you guys want information on any of these toolkits, we'll put it inside the description of the show. And also, don't forget to get a copy of her book, Semi Well Adjusted, which we will leave a link for that inside the description as well. And just lastly, like, what are you hoping people get from this book?
Okay, first, read or listen with care. Take your time with it. It does cover a lot. And second, the question that I would love for you to ask yourself before and after is what does it mean to be well adjusted in a dysfunctional society?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever thought about well adjusted at all.
It's an interesting concept, and
I
we have to
saw you
ask
interviewing people, asking them, and I thought it was really interesting. People's answers were all over the place.
all over the place. Yes. So after you've read and deconstructed and reflected, would love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to reach out, send me a little DM. And yeah, I'm just excited for us to graduate. I think this book is a statement of applying all that we've learned, all the healing we've done, and now going, okay, so now what? Like, let's stop playing that tape over. Let's actually start moving into the next chapter and writing it together with the
Totally.
knowledge and wisdom that we've gained. So yeah, I feel hopeful in that regard and would love to hear everyone's thoughts.
I love it. I think the more we open our eyes to what's really kind of happening, the more we can empower ourselves to make better decisions and live a better life because we are in the driver's seat. We forget that all the time. So,
Absolutely.
Allison, thank you for coming on again. This was such a great conversation. Of course, you guys don't forget to pick up a copy of Semi Well Adjusted, despite literally everything out now. And like I said, we'll have all the details for everything in the description of this episode. In the meantime, be nice people, make good choices, and be present. Heal Squad, we have been on quite the journey together, and we're hearing from so many of you just how much this show is helping you heal and get better, and it makes us feel so good. We love, love, love it, and we just ask that you don't keep it to yourself. Spread the message and share the show or your favorite episode with your friends. And if you want to help us even more, you can leave us a 5-star rating and a comment on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and follow us on Instagram at Heal Squad. You can also DM us anytime because we love connecting with you. And finally, you can also join us on Patreon for our monthly live heal events with world-class healers and ad-free episodes exclusive only to Patreon and our Super Heal Squad for as little as $10 a month. So go to patreon.com/Heal Squad to join. Getting better isn't easy, friends, but as I say all the time, it's a whole lot easier if we can do it together. We love you all so much, and we love doing this thing called life with you.
This podcast and all related content published or distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or MariaMenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Maria Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Maria Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.